to start out being politically incorrect, right? When Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, these are concentration camps. These god-awful places that Trump and Pence and Stephen Miller and well, in the beginning, it was also General Kelly and Kirstjen Nielsen, the DHS secretary. They came right out and said it. I mean, they came literally right out and said, we're going to separate these families and we're going to create conditions for them that are so unpleasant, I think was the word Kelly used, that word will get back to families in Central and South America. Don't go there because you don't want to end up in one of these jails, basically. I mean, this was an intentional strategy on the part of the Trump administration, an absolutely intentional strategy. And so now, you know, AOC comes out and says they're concentration camps. The Republicans and the corporate media just freak out. Oh my God, how'd she say that? How could you know, they're not a concentration. I went around and around about this on Friday night on Bill Maher's show. It's, well, and the main argument against calling them concentration camps that's been laid out up to this point, and, you know, your calls on this, you know, can it happen here? What's the next step? How far might Trump take this? Right? I mean, are the next people to be interred going to be political prisoners? I don't know. And what's going to save America? I mean, is it going to take impeachment to stop this? Is the 2020 election going to stop this? What do you think? But in any case, the argument, the whole logical thread against calling these concentration camps, and instead calling them detention centers or internment camps or something like that, is that there were concentration camps in Germany, and we don't want to diminish the Holocaust, and so you can't call them concentration camps. Well, actually, in Germany, there were two different kinds of camps. Well, in Germany, there weren't. When Hitler decided to build the death camps, I think it was about halfway through World War II that they actually started putting this into place. Maybe it was a little before that. I apologize if I don't have the timeline absolutely right. But when Hitler decided to build the death camps, the order was to build every single one of them outside of Germany. So if they were ever discovered, they could blame Auschwitz on the Poles and Belsen on the Dutch. I think it was in Holland, and you know, like this. All of the actual death camps were not called concentration camps. They were called death camps, and their only purpose was to kill people, and they were built outside of Germany. The camps inside Germany, and there was something like 500 of them. I mean, they were all over there. Most of them were fairly small, but there were some very large ones like Dachau. There were many. In any case, I don't quote my 500. It might have only been 100 or something, but whatever. There was a bunch of them. I mean, I lived in Germany for a year. I lived down the road from a small one, and we lived, you know, a half hour from Dachau. We visited it. And yeah, people died there. And in fact, at Dachau, they actually had a crematorium, you know, where but people were dying there. And there was a couple of instances of, particularly later in the war when prisoners of war were being brought in, where they just slaughtered them with machine guns. But they didn't have the Zyklon gas showers, right? These were not, you know, like giant meat factories just processing human beings to kill them. They were mostly labor camps, you know, Arbeit macht frei. Well, that's Auschwitz. Work makes you free. But that was the slogan of these concentration camps. And so good Germans, and again, you want the documentation on this, read William Scher's The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich and Milton Mayer's They Thought They Were Free. I mean, you know, they just, you know, they lay this out. And good Germans thought, oh, wow, we've got these, you know, creepy, undesirable people here in our country, and you know, Hitler referred to them as rats and lice and things like that. Vermin, essentially, the same kind of language that Trump is using to describe people from south of America, or from south of the United States. So the argument is you don't want to violate Godwin's law, right? Mike Godwin came up with this law that any argument, you know, about politics is eventually going to end up talking about Hitler. And the first person to mention Hitler loses. Well, somebody asked Mike Godwin, who's still around, what do you think about these concentration camps? And is calling them a concentration camp a violation of Godwin's law? And he said, and I quote, I think they're concentration camps. Keep in mind that one of their functions by design is to punish these individuals and families who are detained. So even the charged term is appropriate. I mean, here, this is from this report that just came out. A 2-year-old boy locked in detention wants to be held all the time. A few girls ages 10 and 15 say they've been doing their best to feed and soothe the clingy toddler who was handed to them by a guard days ago. 3 girls told attorneys they were trying to take care of the 2-year-old boy who had wet his pants and had no diaper and was wearing a mucus-smeared shirt when the legal team encountered him. A 14-year-old girl from Guatemala said she'd been holding 2 little girls in her lap, and she said, "I need comfort too. I'm bigger than they are, but I'm a child too." I mean, this is beyond grotesque. And this is happening right here in America. I mean, it's mind-boggling how essentially evil this is. I lack another word. And I think that we have to call these concentration camps, and we have to call out this administration for this brutal policy that they're pursuing. It is simply so wrong. Michael Scott Moore is an author who was kidnapped by Somali pirates. Well, he wasn't an author back then, but he wrote a book about his experience being kidnapped by Somali pirates for 2 years, right, in Somalia. He was liberated by Navy SEALs in 2014. And he says that the Somali pirates gave me toothpaste and soap, while the Trump administration just successfully last week argued in court that there is no constitutional need to give these refugees toothpaste, these children, toothpaste, soap, or beds even. They're sleeping on concrete floors with tinfoil.